Sorry about that. I was actually interrupted by somebody, which I find quite disgusting as it goes. And, you know, you've been interrupted too, so I will be dealing with that person in my own way. But as I was saying, I think that all the problems done before have been solved, but I've got another story for you because something else has recently happened. And before I tell you this story, I would just like to point out one thing, which is you should never be stingy when it comes to food. Just don't do it because that's practically Satanism. So anyway, I'll tell you what happened. So me and my friend Nzinga, she's got huge tits. We were driving around Dunsbury, which is a really horrible place, trying to find somewhere to park, and it took forever. So eventually we found somewhere to park, and we had to go to this like cafe sort of place where Clare the Mare wanted us all to meet up for her birthday. I mean, you know, when you look like that, you shouldn't really bother celebrating a birthday because I don't think Rita the teacher does. But anyway, so we were walking along and Nzinga wasn't happy because of her stilettos. They were like clunking along the street and stuff. And she was like trying to put her lip gloss on and she was just getting really annoyed and we couldn't find where we were supposed to go. Anyway, eventually we ended up walking past it. It was called Bing Bang Bong or something. And Nzinga's like, I'm not sitting on a wooden bench. So I look inside and you can see it's got like church pews everywhere. And it looked horrible. But I said, we'll just have to sit on our jackets. So we go in there and there was this weird like ice cream cone shaped clock. It looked really basic, like basic bitch territory, the sort of thing I would never, ever buy. And then Clare the Mare sat there with some bloke with fat eyelids, like squished up to her like a snail on a doorstep. And then she goes, what time do you call this? And she's pointing at her little watch, you know, probably from the charity shop. And I said, it's 8 o'clock. She goes, I told you to come at 7. I said, no, you didn't. And then Nzinga actually said, no, you didn't. And she gets her phone out to show everybody. And then Claire's like, oh yeah, I changed the time. It wasn't funny. So then anyway, we sit down and she's like, anyway, this is John Dave. What kind of name is John Dave? What kind of name is John Dave? Seriously. It's like you got one boring name and then you just added another one to try and make it less boring. But in actual fact, you just made yourself look like a twisted moron. Anyway, so we're sat there and then Claire goes, do you know what? We may as well all just leave now because we've already eaten. And I could just feel the red coming out in my face. I was like, we have just driven around. Nzinga has hurt her feet. And now you're saying you want to leave. And it was disgusting. Anyway, so Nzinga just goes, I'm going to the toilet. And she sluts off on her heels. Clip, clop, clip, clop, clip. So then anyway, fucking she hasn't even come back from the toilet and Clare the Mare with a biscuity crumbed moustache is like wobbling all over John Dave, who didn't even know what day it was by the looks of him. He's probably on something and I'm not talking about a chair. So then they get up and they're about to go and pay. And I said, Nzinga hasn't even come back yet. And they're like, oh yeah, well we need to get going. So are we going to see you at ours? And I thought, ours? Ours? Not ours. Ours. And B... when did this suddenly become ours? This John Dave person suddenly arrived and become an hour. And anyway, so then the little bitch, she's like smiling away, rubbing her big fat bottom all over John Dave's hairy clothes. And I was waiting for Nzinga. And then the bitch says, how much are you prepared to pay for your pizza? And I just stood there. And I looked her down and up in her manky fleece with bits of dog hair all over it and a biscuity crumbed moustache and her hair. And I said, well, I don't know. How much are you prepared to pay for your imac? And that was that. And then I just waited for Nzinga and Claire stood there looking like a shocked starfish being stabbed by a face. And then, so we just left and then we went home. And apparently now Claire the Mare's been going around telling everyone I'm a pig and not to be friends with me. But I don't actually care because nobody makes me pay for a pizza. But I would like to ask you, how much would you be prepared to pay for your pizza? Anyway, thank you for listening to this story. I'm really sorry about the interruption. That person will be dealt with. I look forward to seeing you next time. And remember, the next time somebody asks you how much, just make sure you ask them how much too. Bye.